Hello, my name is Owen, and today I'll be doing a quick review of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. What I want to do is give a brief overview what the movie's about, and then tell you things that I liked and tell you things that I didn't like. For an overview, it is a Doctor Strange movie. If you've seen the first one, you kind of know the base of his characters. You've seen the Avengers, you know the base of his characters. If you're caught up in Marvel, you won't be lost in terms of plot. And if you aren't big on Marvel, this movie will mean a lot less to you than it would some people. But I still think it's like easy to watch. And honestly, I think Marvel makes the movies that way on purpose, just so they can get as much money as possible. Going into things that I liked about the movie, I like Doctor Strange as a character. I think Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job with the character, and also they have some classic Marvel cameo moments in some of the trailers, but if you haven't seen any spoilers somehow, those are pretty exciting reveals, I would say. But honestly, I'm just going to go right into things I didn't like. I wasn't entirely impressed with this movie. I think for all the hype it was getting, it really didn't live up to what I was expecting personally. And a lot of people say this is a very Sam Raimi movie. And if you don't know, Sam Raimi, director of the original Spider-Man trilogy, but also big into horror and kind of like cheesy, like winking horror as well. And that really shows in this movie. And people say it's very much a Sam Raimi movie. And I haven't seen any of his horror stuff, but I could tell that, like, from watching this movie, what his MO is. And honestly, I didn't think it worked for me. They made it a horror Marvel film. I won't spoil like who's the scary parts and like where it's all coming from, because that's kind of a spoiler and stuff, like even who the villain is. But I just wasn't convinced by it. It just felt like the first couple episodes of WandaVision, where it's like, okay, we're gonna play in the sitcom trope. It felt like we're gonna play in the horror trope, but it wasn't like for a gag. It was for the actual movie, and I'm just not scared by Marvel characters, I guess. Maybe they needed to introduce like a different character to like try to scare me. I just wasn't convinced by it. And also there was a lot of like weird cuts that were like cheesy, and there was like cheesy one-liners that were like, okay, like we get it. Marvel likes the cheesy one-liners, but this is like, we know it's cheesy, but we're going to say it seriously anyway. That's what it felt like to me. And it really took me out of it a lot of times, which is super unfortunate, because I think the first Doctor Strange is one of my favorite Marvel movies. And this one was just disappointing. And even though I liked some of the big cameos, I felt that they were unearned, honestly, overall. I'm excited for what they mean for the future of Marvel, but in terms of the movie, it just felt like it's like, okay, this is the part where you clap, like during the reveals. I'm just like, okay, well, and in terms of the plot, you just did it so you would get those claps as well. And it's just, this is a hot take, but I said to one of my friends, and keep in mind, I didn't hate the movie. I just thought it was a disappointment for what I was expecting it to be. I thought it was good. I'll probably see it one more time, but it's definitely not in my top half Marvel movies. But I said to my friend, movies like this is why Martin Scorsese hates Marvel, because the plot structure really loosey-goosey. They're introducing plot MacGuffins all the way up into the last 20 minutes of the film. Don't really explain them, just because it's like, oh, it's crazy. It's Doctor Strange. There's so much we don't understand. But it really just, again, took me out of the film. No plot structure. The characters were kind of bland. The villain was one-dimensional, and honestly, I think it really hurt the character as a whole. I just think that, like, people like Martin Scorsese watch Marvel movies like this and say, like, this is not cinema because of blah, 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 blah. And you can't argue with them for this movie. Like, I think, like, even Spider-Man, you could argue, like, there's a lot more going on there, and I really, really like Spider-Man. This movie, I just think it was a disappointment overall, and I'm interested to see how Marvel comes back with the new Thor and the new Guardians, because honestly, as a Marvel fan, I loved Moon Knight, but they've been average recently, other than Spider-Man, and they need something big to bring me back in. So that's my hot take. Thank you.